Good evening, welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. A day after the Prime Minister spoke in Parliament on the no-confidence motion, which was moved essentially to discuss the Manipur issue, the Congress party is just not letting go of the issue. Today, Rahul Gandhi held a press conference and he lambasted the Prime Minister for not speaking enough and, in his view, not doing enough on the issue of Manipur. Mr. Gandhi said that the Prime Minister spoke about Manipur well over the 90th minute in his 120-minute long speech. But can the historic omissions and commissions of the Congress party in Manipur over the years be ignored? Also, the historic context in which Manipur finds itself today because of what has happened in the past, can that be ignored? That particular historical context which the Prime Minister referred to in his speech yesterday? Or is the government simply using those as an excuse, as a crutch, if you will, to ignore its own failings in the current episode in Manipur?
दोषियों को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दिलवाने के लिए केंद्र सरकार, राज्य सरकार मिलकर के भरपूर प्रयास कर रही है। जिस प्रकार से प्रयास चल रहे हैं, निकट भविष्य में शांति का सूरज जरूर उगेगा।
The Prime Minister refuses to stop the fire. He wants Manipur to burn. He allows Manipur to burn. मणिपुर में महीनों से आग लगी हुई है, लोग मारे जा रहे हैं, बलात्कार हो रहा है, बच्चों को मारा जा रहा है। और अगर आपने देखा होगा कल, तो प्रधानमंत्री हंस हंस के बोल रहे थे, मुस्कुरा रहे थे, जोक्स क्रैक कर रहे थे, हंस रहे थे। When we went to the Meitei area, we were categorically told that please ensure, we want you to come, we love you, but please ensure that if there are any cookies in your security detail, they do not come into our area or we will shoot. When I went into the cookie area, we were told the same thing.
अगर मणिपुर की मैं बात करूं तो नफरत के बीज किसी ने बोए थे तो श्रीमान राहुल गांधी जी के परिवार ने, इनकी पार्टी ने बोए थे।
This is all bogus claim. They never wanted discussion on any issue because they know the performance of Modi government is historically well.
All right, so Parliament may be over, but the war of words is clearly not over between the Congress party and the BJP, between the Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi. So here's what Rahul Gandhi said in his press conference, in a way responding to what the Prime Minister said yesterday. This is what the Prime Minister said, that peace will be restored and that no guilty will be spared. In response today, Rahul Gandhi said the Prime Minister briefly mentioned Manipur. He will not douse the fire. The Prime Minister in his speech yesterday said the opposition never wanted to debate Manipur in the first place. That's why they've been holding up parliamentary proceedings for the better part of the last 3 weeks. Rahul Gandhi, and you heard that soundbite a moment ago, saying that the Prime Minister laughed and joked while he was speaking on Manipur. The PM yesterday in his speech said the opposition is simply interested only in politicizing the Manipur issue and they insulted Bharat Mata. To respond to that, Rahul Gandhi said that Bharat Mata and the very idea of India are being killed in Manipur, something that he said in Parliament in his speech a couple of days ago as well. Also, the Prime Minister saying yesterday that the mother of all evils, the mother of all problems in the Northeast is the Congress party and its decades-long rule there. And Rahul Gandhi responding to that by saying, why has the army not been deployed to ensure peace in the current standoff that is happening in Manipur? The Prime Minister invoking Nehru and Indira Gandhi and saying that their governments in the past have historically mistreated the governments of the Northeast. But Rahul Gandhi responding to that saying that there are now two states in Manipur. It's not one Manipur. There's a Kuki Manipur and there's a Meitei Manipur. And that peace between the Kukis and the Meiteis is elusive. So that is what Rahul Gandhi has claimed today. So at the end of this high-octane debate in Parliament, all these proceedings being held up for the last many weeks, what has been achieved, and more importantly, has the situation in Manipur been assuaged to at least some degree? Let's try and put those questions to our full panel that's joining us tonight. We have Guru Prakash Paswan of the BJP, who's joining us, national spokesperson. Dr. Ajay Kumar, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Bishujit Deb, spokesperson of the TMC, is on the broadcast this evening. Arun Anand is consulting editor with First Post. And Dr. Thongkholai Haokip is an assistant professor with the Center for Study of Law and Governance at JNU. Guru Prakash Paswan, let me start with you first. The charge that Rahul Gandhi has laid at the doorstep of the Prime Minister is that while he spoke for 130 minutes plus, he came to Manipur only after the 90th minute, and he spoke very briefly about Manipur. According to the Congress Party, Manipur is burning, and Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, is doing nothing to douse that fire.
Zaka, a very warm good evening to you and all my fellow panelists. What we have to understand here is that the quality of language that was used by the senior leader of the Congress Party, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, is absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely unwarranted and absolutely not required in a parliamentary discourse of a country. We are a mature democracy. We are the world's largest democracy. We are being watched across the world. The idea of Bharat Mata. Bharat Mata is the national personification of India. I sincerely advise Mr. Rahul Gandhi and his advisors to please see, research and do some reading from Abhindranath Tagore to Rabindranath Tagore, and they'll understand the idea of Bharat Mata. Mr. Rahul Gandhi's allegation that we were holding up the parliament, let me give this clarification which has been put across on multiple occasions. Day 0 of monsoon session, the Honorable Prime Minister spoke on Manipur. Day 1, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs invited in debate. Day 2, the Honorable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs invited for a debate. Day 3, leader of the BJP in the Rajya Sabha, Piyush Goyal, asked for a debate. We were never running away from a debate. It was the opposition, it was the Congress Party who never wanted an honest and actual conversation on Manipur, because they're aware of the issue that the Manipur problem is a legacy issue of a decade-rule Congress government in Manipur and across India. We have to understand the second allegation which Mr. Rahul Gandhi put across, the idea of India. What is the idea of India, sir? Your idea of India is family first. Your idea of India is dynasty first. Your idea of India, there was no space for a tribal woman to reach the highest constitutional office in the country. Your idea of India is sirf main, mera parivar aur koi aur nahi.
So let me ask Dr. Ajay Kumar of the Congress Party. Dr. Ajay Kumar, you know, one thing that the Prime Minister stressed and the BJP is today stressing as well, that you can't look at today's problem in Manipur between the Meiteis and the Kukis in isolation. You have to look at historically how these communities, these states in the northeast were mistreated by successive Congress regimes. The Prime Minister talked about the 1966-67 Indian Air Force bombing of the Mizo people and the Mizo National Front. Can all of those factors be ignored? The way Indira Gandhi's government dismissed state governments in the northeast, the mistreatment of the Sikhs and what happened in the Golden Temple. Can we forget all of these historical contexts that have led to the situation today? That's the question being asked by the Prime Minister and by the BJP. Please respond.
So my BJP colleague, you know, the ability to tell untruths so brazenly is remarkable. Prime Minister spoke on Manipur first day for 37 seconds outside the Parliament. The BJP wanted to have a discussion or short discussion on Manipur. That was the dispute. Not Mr. Piyush Goyal speaking and all. Please get your facts. I've been a parliamentarian. The fact is you didn't want a discussion, short discussion on Manipur. And then when the Prime Minister spoke and bored everybody to sleep, his own people to sleep for 2 hours, 17 minutes, he spoke for 3 minutes on Manipur. Look at this lack of sense of shame. And then he cracked jokes on Manipur. He cracked jokes throughout the thing. He didn't have any, you know, sense of remorse, a sense of shame on what has happened to the women of Manipur. What? Please don't come in when I didn't interrupt you, sir, so please don't come in. I don't interrupt, sir, so please follow the basic guidelines. The other issue, so can I complete, sir? Either you have the courtesy or you, because I don't do it, you please have the courtesy.
I was requesting the anchor not interrupting
Zaka,
you, sir.
Please
go on.
Dr. Kumar, finish your point,
Okay. So the issue is the continuous lies. Mizoram 1966 was the bravest decision because the Chinese and the Pakistanis were playing with fire to retain the integrity. 1986, Rajiv Gandhi signed the historical accord. So the question is, if please read, they're so short of education in any way. Ved Marwa wrote a brilliant book on the uncivil wars in India. Brilliant book on Northeast. But nobody will read. And this poor, typical, the BJP RSS combines lies after lies after lies. Kalavati was a lie. It was proved again. They will not apologize. The Indian Institute of Mass Communication, I set up, Mr. Modi was set up in 2011. The kind of lies they say it so, so coolly. I mean, it's quite, so my fact is.
No, but Dr. Kumar, come to the issue that I asked you. There is a historical context to what is happening in Manipur today, right? Can you afford to ignore that historical context? It's not like the problem between the Kukis and the Meiteis just began 3 months ago. There is a historical context to it. No. Are you conveniently ignoring that and just focusing on the here and now, and therefore, and you're well within your right to do that, pillorying the government for its handling of what happened in Manipur?
No. The first question, the question is, this is like a smoke screen. I will commit riots, but it is historical. The Jewish final solution of Hitler was a previous hatred of European hatred towards Jews, so it landed up in the final solution of 6 million Jews being killed. What kind of nonsense are we peddling on TV channels today? There is not a single Kuki in the valley and there is not a single Meitei in the hills. And there are 6,000 arms robbed and 6 lakh bullets missing. And there are 200 people dead and 7,000 houses burnt. And the Prime Minister has not visited. That is the issue. And the question is whether every government faces challenge. What about this whataboutery? Now Nehru, why don't they blame Nehru and before the Mahatma Gandhi
Guru Prakash
also?
Paswan, quick response and then I need to go to the other guests. You're indulging in whataboutery. What has history got to do with what is happening in Manipur today? The situation is on your plate. You have to deal with it. By blaming the Congress party, you're not dealing with the present day situation. Guru Prakash Paswan.
Zaka, absolutely not. And I'm sure as a senior journalist, you are aware of the policies and the deployment that has been done in Manipur. The problem is the politicization of violence. The exact problem is the selectivity in your approach. In 2011-2012, 123 days of blockade in Manipur. Will you blame Pakistan and China for that blockade as well? Please go and get a sense of history first. This is a sense of arrogance. The Congress spokesperson commenting on an education of other people. Sir, I don't want any certificate from you. I am a PhD in law. And please think twice before commenting on anyone's education. This is your sheer arrogance. And this is what the Prime Minister said. This is your ghamand. This is your ahankar, which we will see in 2024, which we are seeing in 2014.
Bishji Dev of the TMC, I want to broaden the discussion beyond Manipur. Once again. Bishji Dev, I want to ask you, Dr. Kumar, please yield. I need to go to Bishji Dev.
Let him stop first.
Bishji Dev, the issue is that when you bring a no confidence motion, it's not just on one issue. Yes, the context to it, the immediate proximate reason was Manipur. But whether it is opposition leaders' speeches or the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, it laid out basically what his government has done over the last 9 years and what is it that, as he called, the Ghamandiya Gathbandhan is offering. Now, what is it that the India alliance is offering to the people of India? Because A, it is going to be a hark back to coalition politics, and we have seen the ills of coalition politics. And B, more importantly, what the Prime Minister yesterday said, what is bringing you all together? You're coming together not because of love for each other. The CPM and the Trinamool can't see eye to eye in Bengal, but in nationally, in Bengaluru for the India alliance, that's kosher. Similarly, the CPM and the Congress cannot see eye to eye in Kerala. But, next week in Mumbai when you meet for the India alliance, that's kosher. Now, how can that be a justifiable arrangement? Because the people are seeing this. You can't fight in one state or fight in 2 states and then be bum chums nationally.
Well, we will justify it in 2024. Don't worry about that. But coming to the core issue of Manipur, I would like to say that yesterday, the Prime Minister's speech, when we heard, we can see that he wanted to divert the entire issue. his speech was his own publicity. He was publicizing himself and projecting himself for another 5 years. That was what he was exactly doing. He had little care. He had absolutely no care for the people of Manipur who are crying. He had no heart for the people of Manipur who are crying. He had no sympathy towards the people of Manipur. And unfortunately, this is not expected from the Prime Minister. I would just like to ask you that after the Supreme Court has held that there was no law and order situation in Manipur, absolutely failure of the law and order situation in Manipur, why this Biren Singh government had not been sacked? Why the central team had not been sent there? Why 356 has not been imposed? They talk about 356, they talk about 355, they talk about central team in West Bengal. Where is 356? In Manipur.
No, Mr. Dev, you're a well-qualified lawyer. You should be the last person who is an advocate of President's rule in a federal structure. And you are well aware, sir, after the Uttarakhand judgment, by the Supreme Court, there has been no instance of President's rule being imposed to dislodge a government. So let's leave that aside. Your question is valid. Your question is valid as to why the Chief Minister has not been sacked. I think the Home Minister gave an answer in his speech a couple of days back where he said, hear me out, 10 seconds. Hear me out, 10 seconds. The Home Minister said, we have changed the Chief Secretary, we have changed the DGP. We only need to change the Chief Minister if the Chief Minister is not cooperating. In this case, he believes that the Chief Minister is cooperating. Is that not good enough?
It is one of the issues. But I would like to ask you that what the government of India has done to stop this violence. Why the violence has not been stopped? What is the reason behind it?
Sir, they have sent, as they claim, 30,000 central armed paramilitary forces. They have changed the DGP. They have changed the Chief Secretary. They have appointed a special security advisor who has been sent from Delhi. So they 6,500 FIRs. That's the number that's been put out by the state. There is what has been filed. This is what they're saying that they've done to try and bring the situation back to a semblance of normalcy. Mr. Dev.
If they wanted to stop it, they could have stopped it. Our army is efficient enough to stop this violence. But unfortunately, the government of India did not want to stop it.
Okay. So let me ask Arun Anand that. Arun Anand, over 100 people dead. There have been weeks of violence now. And even today, just this past week, there's been violence in some parts of Manipur. You had the very piquant situation of two agencies of law. One, the Manipur police filing a case against the Assam Rifles. And both of them, one reports to the state government, the other reports to the central government. Couldn't this situation, A, have been better handled, and B, more importantly, why is the central government reluctant to either change the chief minister or even deploy the army to bring peace back to Manipur?
I think in the middle of this situation, when there is a conflict situation and it's a pretty sensitive situation, so changing the chief minister, I think won't help. See, one thing you have to accept that there is a historical baggage in terms of the problems which we have been facing in the Northeast. And parties which have ruled earlier in Northeast and at the center. So they have not handled these problems, and the ethnic composition of Northeast is very complex, and most of us tend to see it from typical, the Delhi framework. And that is what has done a lot of harm to states like, Manipur. So largely, I believe, I have covered, governments before. In post 2014, there has been a large focus on Northeast. Yes, in terms of, what has happened in Manipur, I think things should have been, dealt in a better manner. But people who were interested with dealing with these things, so they have been shunted out. Punishments have been meted out in terms of transfers. New people have been brought in, and the Home Minister has already visited the state. He has tried to, bring both Kukis and Meiteis together. See, the unfortunate part is that because we are in run-up to 2024 elections, so most of the issues, even if they are of national security or even if they are very sensitive issues, they are going to get over-politicized.
Yeah.
Especially because opposition is looking for an opportunity to go hammer and tongs against the government. I'm not saying of course, opposition has the right, but that is what, and as far as the spokesperson of TMC is concerned, I just want to make one point, a particular point. If you're talking about violence in the state and bringing presidential rule, I think West Bengal, the kind of violence which it has faced post-assembly polls, it is a much fitter case to put in, the presidential rule.
Okay. So let me ask Dr. Haukip. Dr. Haukip, I think I spoke to you a few weeks back, and at that time, this was just the time when the video had come of the two women being paraded naked. Is the situation today in Manipur slightly better than what it was 2 or 3 weeks back? And more importantly, Dr. Haukip, one of the things that the government keeps insisting is that this government, this regime under Mr. Modi has done more for the Northeast, both physical infrastructure-wise and social infrastructure-wise, than any previous government in the last 75 years. Is that enough to assuage the situation in Manipur as it stands today?
Jaga, before I come to your questions, as a proud citizen of this country, let me question, where are we heading? Because yesterday an FIR was filed against me and my friend who edited a book on Anglo-Kuki War, which is a fight against intercolonial rulers 100 years ago to liberate Indians from the clutches of colonial rule. And another colonel from the Indian Army who also wrote or authored about that war. So there is an anti-national organization called Federation of Haumi, which is constantly engaging against faithful citizens of this country who try to contribute something for this country. And they are right now filing against a case against people who are contributing to this country. This type of anti-national has to be brought to justice before I come to the point. Yes, in the last few years, the current regime has contributed, in infrastructure building like the roads, railways, and others. But I think it's a continuation of what the Congress and the previous governments have done in the past 20 years. So infrastructure has, been improved in the last 5 years to 10 years. In Meghalaya, in Assam, in Nagaland, and Meghalaya, in Manipur, to a certain extent. But this is something that continues on for the last 20 years since the UPA government came into, came to rule this country. And secondly, regarding the comments of the Home Minister that a certain armed groups called Kuki Democratic Front is engaged in this Manipur crisis. I think this is not only gross but also factually wrong, because there is no such armed group as Kuki Democratic Front. There is a student organization called Kuki Students Democratic Front, which is purely a student-based organization. And there is no such armed groups in Burma called the Kuki Democratic Front. And the Home Minister should check these facts before commenting or even, talking about Manipur and its crisis in the Parliament. And this is contributing to justice, but it only worsened the crisis. The kind of enmity that existed between the two groups. It is only, worsening rather than solving the problem.
Okay, so let me ask Guru Prakash Paswan. I think this is the charge the opposition has also been making, that you have made two Manipurs today. There's a Kuki Manipur and there's a Meitei Manipur. No matter what you say, that it was a High Court judgment and the judgment came out of nowhere, and it was a judge apparently who was there here heading a vacation bench, or he was transferred there just a few weeks ago. All of that said and done, fact of the matter is that the situation flared up. Either the state government was not competent to hold the situation to a reasonable level, or worse than that, as the opposition is alleging, they were complicit in the situation flaring up. But either ways, the accountability has to be there. And today, without changing the Chief Minister, Guru Prakash Paswan, what the opposition is saying, and large sections of people are also saying, is, who are you then holding accountable? Nobody cares about who the DGP is or who the Chief Secretary is. People don't know them. People know the politician, the political face of the state. And by not changing the Chief Minister, either you are endorsing his performance or there is something to hide.
Zaka, I was patiently listening to the respected professor from JNU Center for Law and Governance, and I think he has made a very important point. But Zaka, we have never, in fact, if you look at our statements made on multiple occasions, we have never placed the accusation on the judiciary. We respect judiciary. We respect the independence of judiciary. But we have to accept the fact that the violence initiated after the verdict of the judiciary, that one community should be given ST status. That is out in the open. That is public discourse. Second question, which you rightfully asked, what about the accountability? What have we done? And I was listening to the observations of Mr. Arun Anand as well. This information is in public domain. Minister of State for Home Affairs, Mr. Nityanand Rai, Mr. Ajay Mishra, they were stationed on the ground for more than 29 days. More than 6 rounds of negotiations and conversations have happened between the two disputing groups. Thousands of FIRs have been filed. You have already mentioned that thousands of paramilitary forces, they're already there. So the idea is not to sensationalize. The idea is not to politicize. We have to come together. In a democracy, any solution comes only after conversations, only after discussion. The opposition asked, we said, let's have a discussion. We said, let's have a discussion.
Mr. Dev, please.
We always...
Some decorum, please. Mr. Dev, please, I kindly ask you. I'll come to you. Let Guru finish.
And I think Zaka, the sheer hypocrisy and the sheer double standard of the TMC, Trinamool Congress, have you forgotten? Thousands of people had to migrate to Assam, sir. Panchayat elections, the most important tire of democracy. In Panchayat election, we saw the taণ্ডava of violence that was unleashed by the Trinamool Congress. We already remember what taণ্ডava of violence we saw on the streets of West Bengal in the name of Khela Hobe. TMC has locus standi.
Let me go to Dr. Ajay
TMC
Kumar.
has zero locus standi to speak on violence. Thousands of people had to migrate to Assam.
And Mr.
You have no right to speak on this.
Let me pull back from both of them. Dr. Ajay Kumar, I keep coming back to this point. The no confidence motion was an opportunity for
Trinamool Congress has no
opposition
locus standi
to
to speak
put
on
the
this.
Modi government on the mat, not just on the issue of Manipur, that may have been the most proximate reason, but on the whole gamut of issues that you've been attacking this government on. And yet, in Mr. Rahul Gandhi's speech, and he spoke for about 15 odd minutes, he didn't mention anything about price rise or unemployment or any of the things that are the pet themes of the Congress party. Instead, for the first 10 minutes, he spoke about Bharat Jodo, and the next 10 minutes, he spoke essentially about Manipur. Why haven't you held to account the omissions and commissions of this government? This could have been, in fact, the assessment seems to be that Mr. Gandhi's speech in 2018 was far more politically effective than his speech in Parliament this time around.
No, so that you need to give me 3 minutes of 2 minutes. That's it. First, I need to answer that I love your concern for federalism and say president's rule, but I would hope you had done those programs for 9 governments which were surreptitiously, after winning an election, BJP through the back door won 9 states, and was that a lovely push to federalism and great constitutional norm that you need to do a program on if you're so concerned about Article 356 being, the emergency rules? Zaka, that's for you. The second part is the
Sir,
BJP
you have suspended more than 50 governments, democratically elected governments.
Sir? I don't interrupt. Why are you
You have
so badly
suspended
behaved, sir?
democratically elected governments on
Why are you so badly behaved,
Guru,
Mr.
please.
Guru Prakash? Dr. Guru Prakash? Why are you so badly behaved? I don't interrupt you. Why do you have to
सरकार को बर्खास्त किया है.
Let me complete.
Yeah.
So badly behaved. Learn some manners, sir. Learn some
सरकार को
manners.
बर्खास्त किया है.
Stick to the
No,
issue,
please,
merits
I don't
of the
interrupt.
issue,
I
please.
show courtesy. Mr.
Merits
Guru
of
Prakash,
the
I
issue.
show courtesy.
Please,
So
please.
please extend the same
Dr.
courtesy.
Kumar, Dr.
I don't
Kumar.
interrupt. You will not interrupt me,
Dr.
sir.
Kumar,
merits of the issue, please.
The other issue is when my friend, either you have no manners. I'm saying none of you have manners. Let me complete. I don't interrupt. Please have manners. When JDU and TMC were with them, it was a great alliance. One second. When JDU and TMC was with them, it was a great. Hey, yeah, Zaka, can I have a decent discussion?
Yes, Dr. Kumar, go ahead. We're all listening to you, but keep it to the merits of the issue, please. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, no, it is important when you said about alliances. Gamandia alliances is on one side. If we are Gamandia, then they are Gunda, GUNDA. Prime Minister's, his alliance is also a Gunda alliance. If we are Gamandia, then they are Gunda. The third part, which I told you, JDU and TMC were their allies, they were very good with them. Suddenly they think that this alliance is only an alliance for winning power. Look at it. The most important part, the BJP spokesperson says, historical problem, right? And then he says the High Court judgment created a problem. Come on, get your facts in place. High Court judgment created problem, but Congress is responsible. Look at the lack of sincerity on their, in their communication and the truth. Yeah. If the High Court was a problem, then you are incompetent. But then Congress did it earlier. So you decide, was it a High Court problem? Was it a High Court problem? Then you say it is your problem and you created it and you're responsible.
No, Dr. Kumar, you are not answering the question I asked you. I asked you a simple question. Do you think that Mr. Gandhi missed an opportunity to hold the Modi government to account, not just on Manipur, but a whole host of issues that you say that the government has failed on? And he didn't bring any of that up in his speech.
No, the country has seen that this Prime Minister who roams from Seeker to France came to the Parliament finally, though he spoke for 3 minutes. We were speaking on Manipur, we will speak on Mangai. Bahut time aayega. Apna time aayega. Mangai par, berozgari par. Don't worry, sir. But we were focused on Manipur because we care for Bharat Mata. And we bleed for Bharat Mata. And the daughters of Manipur, whether Meitei or Kuki, are our sisters and our mothers. And they are the Bharat Mata, like Pandit Nehru. Not Rabindranath Tagore only, sir. Bharat ek khoj that Bharat Mata is India. The people of India is Bharat Mata.
Guru Paswan.
Please read Nehru.
Guru Paswan and Bishwajit Dev. I need to get closing comments.
Great man. Pandit Nehru, great man.
Yeah. Guru Prakash Paswan. And
what about the people of Chhattisgarh? What about the people of Chhattisgarh? What about the women of Rajasthan? You have to answer. You cannot be selective. Your minister, Mr. Shantilal Dhariwal, what did he say about women's security in Rajasthan? Rajasthan मर्दों का प्रदेश है. This is your leader. Your MLA, Divya Madarna said कि मैं यहाँ सुरक्षित नहीं महसूस करती हूँ. You will not speak about Rajasthan. You will not speak about Chhattisgarh, but you will be selective about Manipur. This shows your hypocrisy and double standard, sir. This shows your hypocrisy and double standard. You are now exposed in front of the people of India. You have done a master. You have done a PhD in sensationalizing political violence and taking leverage out of it.
Okay. One second.
MBBS from Chipma, Pondicherry and MBA, my friend.
Let me ask Bishwajit Dev. Bishwajit Dev, so as I get closing comments from all our panelists, yes, Manipur is, at least from the Parliament point of view and from the no confidence point of view, that is now seemingly done and dusted. The problem for the India alliance is Mr. Modi has painted this as one man versus 25 other parties. The only raison d'etre for you to come together is to dislodge one man. And he's saying that Mazboot Sarkar versus Khichdi Sarkar. That's the choice before the people of India in 2024. How are you going to counter that, Mr. Dev?
Unfortunately, Mr. Modi's Mazboot Sarkar is a total failure since the last 9.5 years. People of India has witnessed a total failure. The government is a total failure in all respect. Come to the price rise, come to the employment issue, come to any issue about the economy, each and every issue, Mr. Modi has miserably failed. So now he is trying to divert the issue of Manipur while speaking inside the house. He could not say that what is the solution he is bringing to solve this particular problem, to solve the issues of Manipur, to solve the problems of the tribals of the Northeast.
No, but Mr. Dev, what about the other issues? What about the issues that the people of India will have to collectively talk about in 2024? Whether it is strong government versus coalition, whether it is single party versus coalition, or whether it is Mazboot Sarkar versus Khichdi Sarkar. Yesterday, what he talked about, on the national security front, carrying out surgical strikes and Balakot strikes and so on, not talking to Pakistan, terror and talks don't go hand in hand. All of these will be issues to the people of India. And the only issue which to some degree may be potent, which you have, is price rise. Yes, fact of the matter is tomato today is above 200 rupees a kilogram. But none of, I didn't hear that in Rahul Gandhi's speech.
I don't agree to that. It is not only price rise. Talk about the employment issue. What about the employment issue? You talk about any issue. You talk about the economy, the situation of the country.
Can I come in?
What did he give us since the last 9.5 years?
Sir, the IMF, forget about what the government is saying. The IMF is saying India will be the fastest growing economy at 6% plus. This is what the IMF is saying.
The IMF is saying, but I can tell you one thing. There is no employment in the country.
Okay.
Even the government offices, even the government sector undertakings, there's no employment.
Okay,
We could not
I need to give the
So what
final
about-
word.
what
I need to
about
give the
the basic
final word to
minimum?
both
Basic
Arun
minimum
Anand and to
needs.
Dr. Hauke
You
after
tell
that.
me about the basic
Arun
minimum
Anand.
needs.
Arun Anand. So it
cooking
comes
gas.
back to when they joined hands in Bangalore and they came up with the name the India Alliance, it seemed like there is some novelty here. It seemed like they have sort of got under the skin of the BJP. But after this Parliament session, after the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, the whole event surrounding the no confidence, do you believe that the choice has been presented to the people of India as to what will be there in front of them in 2024? The choice in front of them in 2024. Do you believe that the India Alliance is being, as the Prime Minister said, आप नाम बदल के मतलब वेश बदल के वही काम अगर करेंगे तो people will see through it?
I think people of this country are very intelligent, and they are much more intelligent, if you put together all the politicians. But a common man on the street is much more intelligent, I would say, because that is the reason that we have been able to preserve the democracy wherever we have seen that whatever has happened in our neighborhood. See, the thing is that they don't have the opposition, the problem is that they don't have a common minimum program. They have inner contradictions. They're fighting. Like in Punjab, they have said that there are already cracks in the alliance. In Punjab, the Punjab Congress leaders have said that they'll contest all the 13 seats. So the people of India, I think, probably would see this as more of an opportunist alliance. And also the opposition is again walking into a trap which was laid for them in 2013 and 2018. They are targeting Modi, and Modi's credibility is far, far higher than any of the opposition leader or all the opposition leaders put together. Okay. That is the fact, and that is what the common man on the street feels.
Okay, Dr. Hauke, I'll give you the final word. How do you then resolve this contradiction, seemingly, that you have this strong government, a government which is 300 plus MPs, a Prime Minister whose popularity is sky high, and you have this coalition of parties which is coming together with the sole purpose of trying to dislodge him, and yet this Mazboot Sarkar, this strong Sarkar, is doing whatever it can to restore the situation in Manipur, restore the peace in Manipur. But is it happening fast enough? Is the situation on the ground returning to normal fast enough?
Jagat, the conflict in Manipur has been more than 3 months, and it may continue for another month or two unless the government at the center will take some kind of political measures to give solution to these two communities in Manipur, because the divide between these two communities has been so great. The scars left out of all these killings, conflicts, violence, rape, and others, it's too deep. As such, a kind of political solution has to be arrived at so that these two communities could, once again come at peace.
What could be a likely political middle ground? What can bring these communities together?
That's exactly some kind of accommodation has to be done in terms of politically, because the Hills has been demanding some political autonomy in the form of within the state or without beyond the boundary of the state for the last 45 years, and there's no accommodation of this kind of demands for the last 50 years. So something has to be brought in to to look into the demands of the tribals in this.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this story plays out both in Manipur and nationally. I'm convinced. I want to thank all our guests who joined us. I'm convinced that yesterday's events, the way it played out, and the events of the no confidence motion and the various speeches by the opposition leaders and the conclusion by the Prime Minister, it's very clear that the die has been cast for the 2024 battle. These are themes that you will hear going into 2024. You have a strong government, you have a single party government, you have a leader who is taller than anyone else in national politics and has been for a number of years now. And on the other side, you have a coalition that's come together. You could call it opportunistic. You could call it coming together with the sole purpose of dislodging the BJP and the NDA. And as they say, bringing a semblance of democracy and democratic practice back into the country. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the current state of India-US relations, while the long-term bet for both countries seems to be that, yes, India is America's long-term partner. There are some niggling issues, particularly when it comes to minority rights, religious freedoms, etc. We'll have two very special guests. Congressman Rahul Gandhi is leading a delegation of United States congressmen and women who will be here, who are in fact here right now, and they will be taking part in the Independence Day celebrations. And I will also be speaking to noted academic Salvatore Babonis on this mismatch between what we hear in the high rhetoric of India-US ties and what is the reality on the ground. That's right on the other side of this quick break.